Hello, good morning. Happy Saturday. It is January 22nd, and I am here for Basic Brows. It's a little change in the schedule. I know we, advertised basic hair care today, but we weren't able to get that worked out for today. So hopefully that should be coming at you next Saturday. So stay tuned for that. But we're just moving Basic Brows up in the schedule. And so here I am, right? So brows, I'm just kind of double checking that I'm live and everyone can hear me because I don't want to say it, I haven't had sound issues for a while now, but I just want to be sure. Okay, yes, I can be heard, but as you're popping on, go ahead and say hi or give me a hashtag replay so that I know you're here, right? I'd love to know you're watching. Tell me, what do you got planned for today? It's super cold, it's the winter, but what do you guys do in the winter? I'm very curious because for me, I feel like we don't really do much. You know what I mean? Like we're here hanging out at home. Now, of course, I'm lucky enough to be able to connect with women virtually. Of course, I can do pampering sessions and things like that. So that's kind of how I keep myself entertained. But what about you guys? So the girls are actually going to Trolls Live today. It was a Christmas gift from my mom and stuff. I'll be like cleaning up a little bit as well. Fun stuff. But let me know in the comments what you got going on as you're hopping on. But yeah, I'm super excited for Basic Brows because for those of you that don't know, brows hold a very special place in my heart and my Mary Kay journey because the brow tint was the very first thing that I bought. I bought that and a foundation, but like the brow tint was what sold me on Mary Kay that very first day when I walked into the appointment with like, I'm just here to get a free experience. Like, I'm not going to buy anything, like, da 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 da. You know, I fell in love with the brow tint. And brows have really been something that I've grown to love over the past couple of years and grown in my confidence in, right? Which is great because it's something that I was intimidated by for the longest time and even early on as a consultant and everything, right? So excited to share that with you today. So I have already done my makeup. I've cleansed. I did CC cream today. I did some liquid eyeshadow today. I have the Meteor and the Light Beam on today. Kind of did a little bit of mix. So I'm all good to go. The only thing I haven't done is my brows and I haven't done mascara. So when I'm looking at myself right now, guys, without my brows, oh my goodness. I'm like, girl, get your brows on. So why are brows important? Well, they really just help to frame your face. And so what does that mean, right? So if you look at my face here right now, I'm kind of put together, right? I have my makeup on and whatnot, but your brows, when they're kind of groomed and polished, we'll say, even a little bit, it really does kind of set you apart. And it does kind of really, not does kind of really, it really changes the impact of your makeup look. A little bit goes a long way, right? And so it can have a dramatic impact with a very little bit of product or work, right? So, hi, oh my gosh, good morning, good morning. So glad you're watching. Okay, so I'm gonna get started. I'm gonna share a couple of things with you, okay? So when we talk or think basic brows, it really does depend on the person, what type of situation you got going on with your brows, what your goals are with your brows, right? And your consultant can kind of point you in the right direction of what is good for you particularly. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about two of my favorites, okay? And that is our Brow Precision Liner. I think that's what it's called. I use this every single day and I always forget the name of it. Precision Brow Liner. Okay. Precision Brow Liner. And then our Volumizing Brow Tint. This is the one that I was saying, the very first thing that I bought that I fell in love with and made me be like, okay, maybe there's something about this Mary Kay thing, right? Even though I was totally against it. So here are two options. You can use them by themselves. You can use them together. It's up to you, okay? And so the difference between the two, here's the way that I look at it, and I always kind of share with people. If you don't have a lot of hair on your brows and you need to really kind of beef up even brows being there, like the appearance of brows, the liner is for you for sure, okay? like for me, I don't have a lot of brow right here. It's like missing. And my brows are really thin. Now, don't judge me. I haven't had my brows waxed in a long time, months. Okay. So there's definitely a lot of cleanup here, action that needs, but you can even see my main brow, it's very thin. There's not a lot of hair there, which is why I use the liner. The tint, on the other hand, is great for two reasons. So if you already have nice brows, but you just want to kind of shape them up a little bit, maybe give them some more color so that they stand out a little bit more, but you have a lot of brow there. The tint is great, and like you can use it on its own, or you can combine it like I do and use both. So you kind of start with your liner to, I hate saying draw them in, because it just has this very bad visual to it, and that is not what we want. Okay, we do not want to draw our brows in, or make it look like we've drawn our brows in, but you get what I'm saying. The liner is more to define your brows, right? That's why it's called the precision brow liner, like line and define. And then the tint is to volumize, tint them, give them some more color and better, bigger impact, I guess you could say. Okay. Now, with that being said, if you're not comfortable with one or the other, you can swip and swap. Okay. And so, for instance, for me, like I said, I don't have a lot of brow. The liner is by far one of my absolute go-to favorite products. But when I first started, I was scared of this little teeny tiny product. Okay. I was super intimidated by it. So I only did the tint. This is what I started with. Okay. Because I had to grow in my confidence a little bit, for me personally. Okay. And that's where, again, your consultant comes into play. So you can connect with her to find what's best for you. What does she suggest to practice or to test it or try it, right? That's why it's, that's the beauty of having a beauty consultant, like we say. Okay. So now let me just stop yabbering on and talk about this a little bit and show you what I mean. Okay. So, now I'm full screen for myself. Okay. So first I'm going to start with my liner for me personally. Okay. And if you're going to use both, it's suggested to start with the liner and then finish with the tint. Okay. Can you do it the opposite way? Yeah, sure. But I suggest the other way around, just because of the fact that this is liquid and this is not. If you put the liquid on first and then you're going back with the liner, I just feel like sometimes you can create smudging or kind of impact the effect or the way that it finishes. So that's why I suggest always to start with your liner. Okay. And so that's what I'm going to do here. Oh my goodness. I'm just trying to get out of full screen. So there we go. Okay. So for basic tips for creating your brow or drawing on your brow, even though I don't like that phrase, is to map it out. Okay. This is how you can start to get comfortable with it. And I also suggest practicing on a day where you're not running out somewhere. Like, take a day, maybe it's nighttime, maybe it's, before you're going to wash your face or whatever, and practice. And, practice once or twice to feel comfortable. Okay. So I have my liner up. What's nice about this is you can rotate it up and down. So when you're not using it, you can put it down to protect it so it doesn't break. This comes in 5 shades, the liner, and the tint comes in 4. Or maybe I mixed it up and it's the other way around. But either way, there's a shade for you. Okay, there's definitely a shade for you. I'm using brunette and brunette for me personally. Okay, so first thing, when you're mapping it out, you want to start on the inner side. So like the inner part of your eyebrow. So the guide is you want to go to like that little crease in your nose, not the tip, not out here, but where that little crease is. Put the little liner right here, and you want it straight up. Okay. And then right here, now I'm doing the opposite. I'm going to look in the mirror. You just kind of go here and make a little mark. Okay. That is the line where you want your brow to start. That is what the beauty experts tell us, okay, is where your brow should start. Now, why there? Have you ever seen sometimes, or, if someone's brow starts farther in or closer and it doesn't look right? You know what I mean? Like, there's something that maybe catches your eye. So when we're talking about framing your face and the symmetry with your face and creating those lines and patterns, I guess you could call it, right, that are pleasing to the eye, this is where you want your brow to start, okay? And that's why. So go ahead and draw your line right there, okay? Now the next part you want to do is map out the arch. So again, using that same place of your nose, you're going to tilt your liner, your pencil is what I'm going to call it, your pencil, and kind of go through the middle of your eyeball and see where it lands. Okay, so here's mine. I'm kind of tilting it through. You see it's kind of going through my eye. And then I just go right there and kind of make a little point, make a little mark. Okay, now again, it might not be perfect. I'm kind of looking in the camera, but it gives you an idea of where you should target your arch to be. Okay, and then lastly, you go to the actual outside part of your nose and the edge of your eye. Okay, and that's find where it meets your brow. That's where your brow should end. So again, we don't want brows that stop, up here, and we don't want brows that are all the way down here. Go ask Daddy, honey, okay? Yes, babe. Holly walking in here with the jar of Nutella. Oh my goodness. The lining gives you a guide. Yes, exactly, right? So it acts as a guide. It's a way to map it out, okay, and make it super simple for you. Okay, so we have our 3 little points. Now it's kind of like playing connect the dots. We connect the dots with our precision brow liner, okay? So go ahead and scroll it up. And what's nice about the liner is it's so light, you don't press really, really hard. No, we don't want that. You want to do light feathery strokes to create the look of natural hairs, right? Like we don't want it to look drawn in and super fake, right? We want it to look natural. So I just go and I start doing really light movements. I'm following the shape of my natural brow and I'm using my little map points as a guide to help me know where to go. And so you draw as in, like the direction of your hair, of your brows already going. I kind of go under, for me, in the way my brows are, I kind of go underneath the natural hairline, doing my small upward and like outward movements, my hair-like movements. And I just kind of keep building on it, right? I go above them too. I'm going towards that mark that I made for my arch. Okay, and I'm kind of going upwards there. And now I'm going to go down. Now I can tell I kind of drew it off. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going back down, right? So again, for me, I focus on the lower part, like underneath my natural hairline a little bit. And I just kind of keep going down. And I'm working my way down my brow until I reach that mark that I made of where my brow should end. And then I just go in and I kind of fill it in a little bit. Again, doing really, really light strokes. Okay, so tell me in the comments, do you do your brows? If you do, what do you typically use, right? Do you like a liner? Do you use our tint? Some people use eyeshadow or, other products like that, right? So tell me in the comments what you use. And if you don't, tell me why. So do you don't care about brows? You don't want to? You don't feel like you need to? Or are you intimidated like I used to be, right? So I'd love to know what your experience is. So you can see, look, that was super easy, right? Look at the difference that it makes. And I haven't even done the tint yet, right? Look at the difference. Look, this is what happens when I'm looking opposite. That it makes in my makeup look and the overall look of my face, right? How I say it frames your face. It delivers a lot of impact for very little effort and very little product. This little teeny tiny thing, right, can make such an impact. Okay, so first I do that. I'm happy there. And now I finish and easy to fill in and create the perfect look. Exactly, right? And it's all kind of up to you. So if you need a little bit more, you do a little bit more. If you don't, you don't, right? So it's buildable. It's super light so that you don't have to worry about if you kind of make a little mistake, like a little boo-boo, like I even did, right? Okay, I can go back and kind of clean it up quickly before it sets or anything, and move on and continue going, right? And what's nice about this is it lasts all day until you take it off. I take it off with my eye makeup remover, right? Okay. Good morning, Messina. Okay, so there we go. Now I'm going to go back. Messina is another one who her brows are always on point, right? And she definitely knows the power of a good brow and some good brow products, right? I use eyeliner, no smudge, and buildable. Okay, if you find an eyeliner that works for you and kind of creates that same impact, sure, go for it, right? Go for it for sure. The reason I like our liner in particular for this is I like how it's thin. Again, so I can create those natural looking hair, the look of natural hair, and it's buildable and it's light, so I don't get too heavy on the brow right away, right? It really is buildable. So I feel like this looks natural. This looks like my natural brow, right? That's what I think, at least. You can tell me differently in the comments. Now I'm using the tint. So I love it because it looks like a little mini mascara brush, right? I'm using the brunette. And so I just bring it out. I might, if there's a little excess, I might dab it on the side just so I don't have too much. And then you literally just brush it through your brow. You follow the direction of the way that your hairs naturally go. Gently brush. You want to try not to get it on your skin. This is not intended to be, the liner like this is, right? So like I mentioned, if you need to create the appearance of brows, that's where your liner comes in. The tint is really to tint color the brow that is existing, plump it up a little bit. There's actually little fibers in here that create that volumizing effect and finish it off. Okay, so two definitely different intentions there. And you can see I got a little bit more color and more definition, right? It's combing through your brows. It's putting some product in there to tame them a little bit, right? So they stay in place throughout the day. And you can see, bam, right? The difference that it makes. Like, oh my gosh, I can't tell you how much I love brows. And seriously, how much of a difference that they really make. Okay. Yes, love the MK brow liner and brow tint. Yes, Messina. Good morning. Okay, so I'm going to finish up my other brow here and we'll see the main difference. But again, guys, this is where it really can, just take a little bit of practice, take a session with your consultant to get comfortable with it. And then practice it in your own bathroom, once or twice until you kind of get the hang of it. Start with one product and then add the other. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. You can start a little bit and kind of grow from there, right? Like I said, I started with the tint. I used the tint only probably for at least a year before I was brave enough to try the liner. And now I wouldn't go back, right? Like now I see for me and my very sparse brows, I need all the help that I can get, right? I've never used the volume tint, but I'm going to try it out. Yeah, it's like I said, very first thing I ever bought, right? I can't talk about it enough. And again, so I'm going back if you're just joining in or seeing, I mapped out my brows, the 3 points, the inner, the arch, and the outer. Okay, now I don't really have to map mine out anymore, right? But that's an easy way to start as a guide. And then I'm going back and I'm just doing really light, I call them feathery strokes along the bottom of my brow. I'm following the natural shape as a guide, and then also the little map points that I put on there as a guide as well. Okay, and I just start to slowly build out my brow because mine need a lot of help. And this brow has even less hair than this one, so it needs a little bit extra. I always say your brows, they are, they're sisters, but they're not twins. So yes, we want them, to resemble each other, but it's okay if they're not exactly identical. Some days I get them and they look great, like super symmetrical. Some days, like for whatever reason, this shape is like a little bit different than the other one. I just go with it because it's how it is, right? Like it's okay. Don't stress about that, level of detail. And as you practice more, you'll feel more confident with it as well. So again, I just kind of go back in and fill it in. I attribute my lack of brows to Myself back in junior high, oh my God, I plucked my brows so bare. Oh my gosh, when I remember, oh my God, so bad. Why? Why did I do it? If only I knew then the importance of brows, right? I wanted them so thin. Oh, and now I feel like it's revenge of the brows, right? Like they won't come back. They're scared I'm gonna take them off or something. Okay, so I did that one. Now I'm gonna add a little bit of my tint as well to finish it off. Again, I'm just running it through my natural hairs and combing them, through a little bit. Be careful not to get it on my skin. And if you do get it on your skin, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. But again, it's meant more just to brush through your hairs and not to sit on your skin. Okay. And there we go. Now I'm done. My brows are good. Now I feel like I can go out in the day. Like I said, they're one of my favorite things to do, meaning if I don't do anything else, it's typically CC cream and brows, right? So for me, so tell me in the comments, does that seem doable for you, right? So does it seem like something you could do? Are you wanting to try it? Put brows in there, or, tag your consultant in this video so that she knows to help you out, or to kind of talk to you about some brow products to move it, help you move down the path of loving your brows and having brows that wow, because it's super, super easy, totally doable, and it makes such a huge difference. Okay. Well, guys, have an amazing Saturday. Like I said, hopefully next weekend we'll be back with basic hair care. We swapped out the schedule a little bit, but thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed it and have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.